Welcome to Football Today, our midweek show. And guess what we're doing? We're doing QBs in the playoff or one game back of the playoffs tiers. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Penik. Justin, if we were doing tiers of radio shows, where would Dan Patrick's show be?
Hey, number one, thank you to the Dan Patrick Show for allowing us to put one episode a week on here. We also have two episodes that we do with Chris Rose on Mondays and on Fridays, and we're on YouTube as well, and we also have our own podcast feed. But thank you to Dan Patrick Show. It's been a lot of fun being on there the last couple weeks.
If we're going historical, intentional talk or Dan Patrick?
Dan Patrick.
Yeah, baseball. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, let's get into our playoff tiers. Why don't you set it up for us?
Yeah, so we're going A through D. I wanted to have like fun tiers of like, is this the guy? Or I'm not confident this is the guy. Or I don't know, it's too early to find out. So I wanted to have fun categories, but Bobby Skinner hates fun. So we're doing A through D.
And I'm viewing it more as like, great, you are the reason. B is, you should be the reason, but I need you to see you do it first in the playoffs. And then mine is like, with the right team, you definitely can do it. And then I'm not confident that you have the capacities.
Yeah. So I kind of want to start off with A, because I think it's pretty obvious who some of these top guys are. And I think it's also just more fun to talk about top guys. And then we can get more critical as time goes on. Are you for that?
Yeah. I mean, how many do you have in the A tier?
I have 3.
I have 3 as well, too. So we probably have the same 3. Correct?
I would presume. And I did mine in order.
Mine, too.
Mahomes, Allen,
and
Stafford.
Oh, okay. So that's where we differ. I really like Stafford. Stafford is number 4 for me.
Okay.
I know that he's had some playoff struggles. I put Lamar in here. What Lamar does on a week in, week out basis is amazing. Like he lifts up everybody. Again, he's had some playoff struggles. I agree, but he is, a 2-time MVP, is possibly going to be a 3-time MVP after this season, depending on how, hashtag narratives go over these last 4 weeks. But for me, I love Stafford. And again, he's 4 for me. I only put like you're an MVP level quarterback in the A tier. Like regular season and playoffs, you can do it.
But you don't think Stafford has more like in the playoffs, in the postseason, 2 minutes to go, you need a game-winning drive? Like, I think it's clear. Like, I'd rather have Matt Stafford making that like, hey, that beautiful throw to Puka Nacua over the shoulder. Lamar can do it, and I want Lamar to do it. There's probably no quarterback on this list that I'm rooting for more than Lamar, but I just trust Stafford to do it at this stage of their careers.
Yeah, sure. If you're talking about a 2-minute drill, Stafford, yeah, I'd probably give him the edge. But I think it's more than just a 2-minute drill.
Yeah, you're right.
When we're going through all this, and at the end of the day, Stafford has one playoff run.
Right.
Like he's never won a playoff game outside of 1 year.
He played really well.
Is that all his fault?
Though.
No, but like Lamar is the type of player where those Lions teams would have been in the playoffs every single year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stafford again is a great. He'll have Hall of Fame discussions. When Lamar retires, we're not having Hall of Fame discussions. He's just going into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But, so you have to be like that guy week in, week out for me to put you in that tier.
But crossing that postseason bridge, I mean, it is getting a little bit like Peyton and insert other quarterback here that maybe had a little bit of trouble in the postseason earlier in their career. It is kind of getting to that point for Lamar where that is the next bridge that he needs to climb. And that's why, like last year, I banged my head on the table when, number one, the Ravens had that game plan and, they showed that type of performance against the Chiefs last year because that was the team. Like that Ravens team kicked ass last year. Their record against teams above 500 was really, really good, and they kicked good teams' ass last year. Whereas this year, between the right side of that offensive line and especially that pass defense, that's not the same team. So they're going to need Lamar to carry more than he already kind of has during these regular seasons. They're going to need him to show up more in the postseason. And those are the questions that I have about Lamar right now. Can he do it? I think he can, but can he do it still is a question.
And I agree, and I think that's a good reason to maybe put Lamar in the B tier for
Which
me.
I have him in B.
I'm still not putting Stafford above him, right? Like you can say, oh well, Josh Allen hasn't made the Super Bowl. Okay, but look at the games that the Bills have lost in their playoffs. Now, again, he's had some bad ones too. The game against the Bengals 2 years ago, that was a stinker of a game. You know, the first AFC Championship with the Chiefs, he certainly didn't play well in that game. But the 2021 playoffs and this most recent year, like he's went above and beyond. I mean, he's probably had the best losing effort quarterbacking playoff performance in a long time. In the 13 seconds game against the Chiefs, and with the new rules, he'd get a shot to match that at least. And hell, maybe they go for 2 and win the damn thing.
Yeah.
But so I think there's good arguments for putting Lamar in the B tier. I don't think Stafford's one playoff run is enough to move him over Lamar as a performer.
I think you're also discounting the game against the Lions last year too. With that Rams team,
Sure,
team was
that
not
awesome
very
game,
talented.
but it wasn't a playoff performance I'm going to remember for the ages. It was a really good playoff game that they lost and essentially in the wild card round.
Yeah. He did outplay Goff, but that Lions team was just so much better. All right, so that's my A. You have Mahomes, Allen. I don't think there's any debating that. I think some people would debate Allen, but I'm also using the context of this season too, and Allen's just kicking ass. I feel like the MVP goes back and forth between him and Lamar every single week. And I have Stafford third, and then you have Lamar in that A tier. Yeah,
my B tier kicks off with Matthew Stafford, and then has Justin Herbert at 5 and C.J. Stroud at 6.
Oh, in my B, we are very different.
This is my elite tier. I haven't seen you do it in the Stafford is, again, he's borderline. Herbert and Stroud I view as elite quarterbacks, but I haven't seen them have playoff success. I know Stroud won a playoff game, but it's just, put together, win 2 playoff games before I put you in the A tier.
Right. So my B tier, I have Jordan Love at 4th. I have Baker Mayfield next.
You have Jordan Love over Lamar Jackson.
I do. This is in the context of the postseason.
Yeah, but I feel like
Jordan Love showed it, man. Showed it last year. Balled out. I like the gutsiness. I like the ability I'm going to have the balls to make a throw. And even if it's a mistake, I'm going to rely on my talent. I'm going to rely on my guys. So I have Jordan Love there, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, and then I have Lamar.
I think Jordan Love has won 1 playoff game.
I know.
If we had if we're talking like, man, this guy's just, hey, he may not be the best QB in the NFL, but he showed up in the playoffs year after year after year. I think you're taking if you even hinted that Jordan Love is a better player than Lamar, you would say that's crazy. And we have, at the end of the day, we have 1 playoff victory against and they blew him out. Like it was part of the defense. I think they intercepted Dak 3 times in the first half.
You don't think he played really well against the 49ers too?
He did, but he also, at the end, you talk about 2-minute drill, end of the game, he threw a bad interception. Right. Which again, I'm not going to overjudge him, but I need to see Jordan Love play at a more consistent level before I put him. Listen, I can make an argument for him in the B tier. To put him above Lamar Jackson, I don't know if I'll ever be in that situation, but I got to see a lot more than what I've seen, and just that playoff performance alone can't do it for me.
Yeah. All right, but what about Baker and Goff?
I put them in the C tier. I don't think they're elite quarterbacks. I think they're really good quarterbacks.
I think Baker need him to get this opportunity to playoffs. I'm pretty confident they're gonna get the AFC South. They'll have their home playoff game. Who are they projected to play right now? Like if the season were to end, do you know on the top of your head who you would play? Who you could look that up really quick?
I believe the Vikings.
Fascinating matchup. Both defenses kind of a similar aggressive manner. I think Baker's a baller, man. And I think this year he's even better. He's already matched his touchdown total from last year, and we viewed last year as this renaissance year. 6.4% touchdown rate. Interception rate is a little bit higher, but a 70% completion rate, while the yards per attempt is a whole half yard better. And he's at a part of the year where Chris Godwin's hurt, Mike Evans is hurt. The tight end,
Kate Otten.
Kate Otten was, their number one target for a couple weeks there. So this isn't a perfect team, and certainly Baker's not a perfect quarterback. The sack rate's relatively low, and it matches what he was doing last year. They're better on early downs. They have a better run game this year. So I think Baker, given that opportunity in the postseason, I think he has that moxie. I think he has that swagger, and I'm excited to see him in this year's postseason. I think he can win a postseason game.
I am too. He threw for 350 in both playoff games last year, and again, he's second one finish on a bad interception, but it is what it is. But still, I understand this is specific to the playoffs. I think elite QBs, even if they haven't had great playoff success, will find, water finds its level. And I'm not putting someone in Baker who I view as a really good QB above an elite quarterback,
right?
Like I do with Stafford, Herbert, Stroud, Lamar.
Reel off your B tier again.
I only have 3, and this is not their B level players. It's just B in this context.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford number 4, Justin Herbert number 5, C.J. Stroud number 6.
Who do you want to touch on first, Herbert or Stroud?
Maybe Herbert, because people are like, oh well, he can't win He's had one playoff game. It's that Jags game. He's had some pretty bad situations, and I think we take for granted that he is elite because of the bad situations that he's been in.
Right. He's also had some bad fourth quarter moments, and that's what kind of...
Again, I have questions, but at the end of the day, I'm putting an elite quarterback in that B tier, and that's what I view as Justin Herbert.
That's fair. Herbert's the first.
He's also had some great fourth quarter moments too.
Yes.
Like I've seen him make some unconscious throws in the fourth quarter as well. So I like Herbert a lot. I like him. I put him above C.J. Stroud. Again, one playoff game where they put up some points in that one, they just couldn't finish. We fired Staley and Harbaugh's in here. They have no weapons. I mean, that offensive personnel is awful.
That's the thing.
And he keeps them alive. So I know Herbert is a little bit polarizing, but I just kind of don't care that people are going to be like, well, what has he won yet? Okay, that's sick. What did Baker Mayfield win at this time last year? Right,
for sure. Yeah, I have Herbert as the first QB in my C tier, and I very much I could very much be very okay with flip-flopping him to putting him behind Lamar in my rankings in the B. I'm very okay with that if you really put a gun to my head.
So what is your B tier and how many are in there? I had 3, Stafford, Herbert, Stroud. What's yours?
Love, Baker, Goff, and then Lamar. I want to talk about Stroud.
Okay, so you have. I want to touch on Lamar. Stroud, I don't have much to touch on. He's had some struggles this year, but he's so young. I'm not gonna have the strongest take on Lamar. Do you have Lamar 8th? You think his playoff performances have been that bad? Like, you're basically saying he's a choke artist, and I have no faith in him to do anything.
No, he's in a B tier, man.
Yeah, but you put him 8th below guys like Goff and Baker and Love.
I just think their possible postseason runs and their own QB play Lamar's got to prove it to me. Lamar's got to prove it to me, man. And I'm a Lamar stan, and I want him to kind of prove me wrong in this context. Like, there's no other QB that I'm rooting for more. But just based on past evidence, based on even the teams that they're on right now, I would put those QBs ahead of Lamar. Not based on talent. I'm not saying that Lamar Jackson, like Jared Goff, is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love, none of those guys. Even Stafford, who I have an A.
Yeah, but you can't say all this. But you just okay. So he's like, listen, I think he's not performed to the expectation we expect in the playoffs. But you're just like, this is like, he's warm blooded when it gets to the playoffs. Like, he just can't handle the pressure when it matters the most.
I would, if I really believe that, I would have him in C or D.
All right, well, let's talk about C.
Yeah.
So for me, this is my number 7 through 12. Jared Goff at 7, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
This is I can definitely see you getting to the Super Bowl tier. Maybe not this year, right? I don't see Geno getting to the Super Bowl with this Seahawks team. I don't see Baker getting to the Super Bowl. I don't see Jaden Daniels getting to the Super Bowl. But this is my, like, if you're on a really good team, I can see you in the Super Bowl tier and playing really well. But I don't think you're going to be better than the other team's quarterback.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I approach it the same way. And I'm going to talk about something right after I give my C tier. Justin Herbert, I was that first guy. Jalen Hurts, I have as the second. CJ Stroud as the third. Sam Darnold, and then Geno Smith.
All right, why don't you talk to us about something?
I will talk to you about something. This episode is sponsored by the DraftKings Sportsbook. Grab your favorite team's jersey and some snacks and head to the couch for another Sunday of action-packed football. Get even closer to the action each Sunday with our partners at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, all new customers, if you bet just $5 on anything, you're going to get 150,000 bonus bets if your bet wins. When you use our code Football Today, stay in on the action, use your 150,000 bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. And if sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot to win cash prizes. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. New customers use promo code Football Today. All one word, bet $5 on any wager, get 150,000 bonus bets if your bet wins. That's promo code Football Today only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. You will be glad you did, Bobby Skinner.
You'll be glad you did. So again, I describe this as the get to the Super Bowl, possibly. Not this year, right? Like I said, Baker, Geno, and Jaden, to me, they have no chance or very little chance of getting to the Super Bowl this year. But I think if you put these guys on the Lions, Packers, or Eagles roster, like Hurts, Goff, and Love are, they would have that opportunity to be there. And I think you can go there. I think you can win Super Bowl MVP. But I think when you view the AFC quarterbacks, no matter what, you're probably going to be the lesser quarterback on the field that day.
Yeah.
Because this is, for me, this is all NFC teams. These are literally 6 NFC quarterbacks for me.
Yeah, I have 3 of them out of the 5 are NFC quarterbacks, and then Stroud and Herbert as my other 2. I know you said you didn't really want to talk about Stroud. I have some pretty strong feelings on CJ Stroud and that Houston Texans offense this year. They've been a very under-talked about team when they've been extremely, extremely disappointing. If you look at EPA per play in the fourth quarter, I mean, you have to go down to 32nd this year to find CJ Stroud. And part of this list is, being clutch in the playoffs. I think CJ Stroud is a clutch quarterback. I think he's a very, very good quarterback with still a great ability to make a lot of great throws. But this offense for Houston has really, I think, disappointed him. And I think they have reached between the health issues. Maybe Bobby Slowick isn't the mastermind that we all thought that he maybe would be. I think that Houston Texans offense, I think they may be a wild card and out. I think they will be a wild card and out the team this year in the postseason. So that's why I have Stroud third. Just not the same juice that we saw the rookie year. Who do you want to go to next?
Where's Stroud overall in your rankings?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th.
9th. Okay, I have him 6th. You have him 9th.
Yeah.
Mine would be, we talked Love. Jared Goff. Again, I think everyone but Lions fans would agree with us on where we have him. And again, he's number 7 for me in this. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts. So I have Jalen Hurts at 12.
Yeah.
They have the 31st passing offense in the NFL. They've invested so much money into weapons around that. There should be no, if the criticism of them should be like, yeah, it's good. It's really good passing offense, but what quarterback won it? Instead, they're like actually having issues of the passing game when there should be none. Like there should be no issues there at all. But here's the thing is, I don't understand what happened to 2022 Jalen Hurts. Again, I want if there was some regression, it'd be like, okay. But he played so well that year. And then listen, in the playoff games he didn't have to do much, but that regular season he quarterbacked great. Yep. He was making the right decision nonstop. The Super Bowl he played extremely well. Extremely well. Is it simply just Shane Steichen? Like is it just Shane Steichen's not there and not giving him the answers to the test, the teams adjust, like the Eagles should not be having these. They've won 9 straight, and there's talk talk radio, they're, Brandon Graham is throwing people, players under the bus, and like, what the hell is going on there?
I kind of think it also starts with your leadership too, right? I don't think they have a good leader to that team in Nick Sirianni, who that team has stayed afloat and they've succeeded in spite of him. Adding Kellen Moore is better than what they had last year, and Vic Fangio has really lit a spark under that young defense, and some of those players are really starting to get it now. The difference between Hurts last year is that he was genuinely just bad, taking 1 million sacks. There's no quick game in that offense. The run game isn't as good as what it wasn't as good as what it was last year or this year, right? So Hurts has fixed some of the bad issues that he's had last year, but now the conversation has come, well, what can you do to separate yourself, and what can you do to kind of, at times, put the team on your back and make that throw? And part of this tier maker for me, and how I originally worded it before we changed it to through like A through D, can you make that throw, and can you be that dude in the postseason? And there's just way more evidence just how Jalen Hurts has played quarterback the last 2 years. 2022, he made those throws. He was that dude. There's been way more evidence the last 2 years, though, that there are so many other guys that you would rather have making that throw and being that dude for you than Jalen Hurts. He's also barely attempted to throw the ball when trailing or down, like when 2 minutes to go or less, or 4 minutes to go or less. They've barely been down in games. And you just know in a postseason game, there may be a situation where you're tied or you're trailing, and it's not going to be Saquon Barkley that's going to save the day. It's going to have to be Jalen Hurts. And how do Eagles fans feel about that? Probably not awesome.
Let's eliminate the tush push, even though you can't. Who would you rather have quarterback in that Eagles team, Geno Smith or Jalen Hurts?
Oh, man, with the concepts that they run where it's really downfield, right? With the weapons.
I would take Geno.
Kind of.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah,
like two years ago,
I
was the Hurts defender. I was like, I don't, like, you say whatever you want about weapons. He's operating this flawlessly, and it just hasn't been that since. Jaden, I got to see it in the playoffs before I have him at 11. I just got to see it in the playoffs. I know the Commanders haven't been as fun recently, and they smacked the shit out of the Titans, and then had their bye week. So my C tier is 7 through 12: Goff, Love, Mayfield, Geno, Jaden Daniels, and then Jalen Hurts at 12.
Okay.
Even though I think the Eagles have the second best chance. Actually, no. We talked about the Packers and Vikings might have a good chance to get out of there. But
right.
All right, so that means we have one tier left. That's the D tier.
That's the D tier.
How many do you have in the D tier?
I have 4.
I have 4 as well, too.
I hope
that would be my 13 through 16. 13, Russell Wilson.
Same.
14, Sam Darnold. 15, Bo Nix. 16, Kirk Cousins. This is my I don't believe in you to lead your team to the Super Bowl. And if you did, it would be an amazing story of how everyone else on that roster did so well.
I put the 2 rookies down here just because I want to see it. I got to see something, yeah. I don't want to make a proclamation about any of these guys. I'm excited to see them in a postseason environment. I think both of them can maybe even do a little bit well. I have Russ 13th as well. Then I have Jaden Daniels. Then I have Bo Nix. And I have, if I could make an E and an F tier, I would put Kirk Cousins on there because I just don't believe in Kirk Cousins right now. And he could still throw the ball somewhat well, but he can't move and he's making these bad decisions and all that shit.
If this was Kirk Cousins before the injury, I think he'd be top of the C tier for me. Yeah. Now he's like, it's really ugly. And again, you see you watch this most recent game, you see high level quarterbacking stuff, but he can't move, he can't push off, and he has these interceptions where they're not just bad decision. It's just like layup duck paired with bad decision interceptions, like leading the league in interceptions this year.
All right, so now Steelers fans are mad at us once again because we're disrespecting the Pittsburgh Steelers and we're disrespecting Russell Wilson. We both have him in the same spot and in the same ranking. A part of that for me is we've barely seen him throw the ball in the fourth quarter this year. Like, it's actually kind of crazy where I think like 49 attempts that he's had in the fourth quarter this year. So I kind of equated this as like a clutch list, and I think Russell Wilson can be clutch. We've seen him be freaking clutch. He's literally won a Super Bowl, right? Went to another one. Was at the doorstep of winning a second one. I just don't fully I don't fully believe it in the postseason yet. And especially when you're in the AFC, like you said, basically any quarterback, if you face Lamar, I give Lamar Jackson the edge, right? If you're playing CJ Stroud, even though I think the Texans have issues, I give CJ Stroud the QB edge. If you're facing Josh Allen or Mahomes, of course you're giving them the edge. So that leaves Russ in a little bit of a tough spot.
Yeah, I want to believe in Russ. When after that first year in Denver, I was like, is he just bad now? Like, that's hard to believe. And hey, some of this is the Steelers' offensive personnel, right? Maybe if he had the Eagles' personnel, we'd be much higher on Russ.
Sure.
I need to see a awesome game versus an awesome defense, and I don't think we've seen that yet for Russ. We haven't seen these bad games versus good defenses, but we haven't seen the awesome game against a good defense. Where his best games are against the Bengals, terrible. The Giants, he played well. The Jets, and then outside of that, he's thrown 200 yards or less, essentially.
Yeah. He's had 2 games against the Browns. I mean, this past weekend he won, but
he's certainly an upgrade. Again,
yards.
and I think this Steelers team is capable of making a run. I absolutely do. I think the defense is that good, and I think Russ is running that offense the way it should, but I don't think he's lifting you up the way the quarterbacks I have ahead of him.
Right.
And listen, I could move Russ up 2 or 3 spots. But nonetheless, I'm gonna if the Steelers, Vikings, Broncos, or Falcons make it, I just don't think we're gonna be talking. We will be because it's a quarterback league. I don't think we're talking about like these great quarterbacks that led their teams. I think it's just gonna be like this is a great team effort.
Yeah. If you're mad at me for having Russell Wilson below Geno Smith and Sam Darnold, I'll give you that. Hey, I'll move him up behind, but I'm not.
What do you got? So yeah, over Sam. Like, are you buying into the Sam Darnold shit? We talk about how the Vikings offense makes everybody look good. Like, I'm not bought into that.
No.
If the Vikings decide that they want to re-sign him, then I would. But it's everything that's being signaled out of there is like, no, we're not re-signing this guy. So it's if he was really that guy, then they would be like, hey, I understood we drafted a quarterback. We found a guy. Okay, we're not gonna let that go for an unknown.
I want to see what their schedule is because I think they have some big games. I mean, they play the Bears, Seahawks, Packers, and Lions. If they finish the season really freaking strong, and they go back-to-back weeks of playing the Packers and the Lions strong, or maybe even beating one or both of them, then I'll buy into I believe momentum's a thing in sports. I really do. And if they could heat up late in the season with that really, really tough schedule, you're on the road against Seattle, and then you play Green Bay at home, and then you're on the road against the Lions, January 5th. That game probably will mean something for seeding. I'll buy into it a little bit more, but right now, not. I think they're good, but I'm not super bought in yet.
Right. All right, so let's recap. Go from 16 to 1 for us. So D tier for me, 16, starting with Kirk Cousins, Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson. 13 through 7. In the C tier, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love, and then Jared Goff at 7. The B tier, which I should have went 1 through 16. I'm going to go 1 through 16. A tier, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. B tier, 4 through 6, Stafford, Herbert, Stroud. C tier, 7 through 12, Goff, Love, Baker, Geno, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, and then my last 4, Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, Bo Nix, and Kirk Cousins.
Starting with the A, Mahomes, Allen, Stafford. B, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson. Going down to C, Jalen Hurts, CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith. And then D, I have Russell Wilson, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and Kirk Cousins. Please leave a comment and let us know how dumb we are.
Shoot us. All right, that's an episode. We'll see you. Find us in the street. Melbourne, Florida. Find me. All right, that's an episode. Appreciate you guys. As always, please don't come find me. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, that's football today.